Well, he must have talked to me, but,
I hope we're strong.
Well, mainly
not with
there's all these sidewalks that people don't.
That'd be nice.
oh, yeah.
Yards, I
He
don't.
did it to someone else too,
Yeah.
because we were looking for people.
For all of them.
But I do have, like Kevin Halliday, the old city clerk, him and his neighbor, they between three houses.
Mayor Heike.
Call this evening's meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Reese.
Mayor.
Councilmember Osk.
Here.
Gilbertson.
Here.
Gardner.
Here.
Bagley.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Butterfield.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
And Councilmember Nelson is excused. 8 present, 1 excused.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Somebody.
Mr. Mayor, can you move your mic towards you, please? Thank you.
Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Osk.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Bagley.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
And Schultz.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That passes. Consent items, I'll call on Vernee Larson, our city clerk.
Mr. Mayor and council members, tonight for your approval, I have the City Council minutes of December 1st, 2025, the City Council work session minutes of December 8th, 2025, the Police Civil Service Commission minutes of December 1st, 2025 as a draft, the Willmar Municipal Utility Commission minutes of December 8th, 2025, the Planning Commission minutes of November 19th, 2025, the Planning Commission minutes of December 3rd, 2025 as a draft, the preliminary and final plats of Northwood Estates, 3rd edition, the preliminary and final plats of Trentwood Estates, 5th edition, the reschedule of the public hearing for consideration to amend Section 4.02, Subdivision 8 of the City Charter to January 5th, 2026, the reschedule of the public hearing for consideration amendment Section 4.02, Subdivision 4 of the City Charter, January 5th, 2026, the reschedule of public hearing for consideration to amend Section 4.06 of the City Charter to January 5th, 2026. The reschedule of public hearing for consideration to codify the City of Willmar's zoning ordinance number 1060 to January 5th, 2026. The cooperative agreement for building official services 2026 to 2028 for Candy, Ojai. The cooperative agreement for building official services 2026 to 2028 for Atwater. The cooperative agreement for building official services 2026 to 2028 for New London, the agreement and consent to remove a hazardous building, the permission to negotiate and award bid to remove hazardous building, the consideration of designated polling places for elections in 2026, the Candy, Ojai County Pheasants Forever lawful gambling application, the premises permit for Willmar Baseball Boosters Association at Foxhole Brewhouse, Inc., reappointments to boards and commissions, the resolution to authorize electronic fund transfers for 2026, the resolution to appoint official depositories for 2026, the Safe Assure Consult Safety Program Agreement for 2026, the accounts payable report for 11/27 of 25 through 12/10 of 25, and for your information, tonight we have the finance report through 11/30/25, the November building report for 2025, the Charter Commission meeting minutes of October 2025, or 28th of 2025 as a draft, the Municipal Utilities Commission and Planning and Zoning applications, and the director's reports.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Gilbertson.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
And Ock.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion passes. Go to old business, call on Finance Director Tom Wodens.
Open forum, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, we have two
What, did
for
I
open
miss it?
forum.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, we've got 2 people to speak to the open forum, and you get 3 minutes. You have to identify yourself and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. So first, Sherry Shuck.
Do I go up here?
Yes,
Hi,
hold the microphone towards you, Sherry. There you go.
Sherry Shuck. I moved to Willmar in 2013, and my address is 2409 8th Street Southwest here in Willmar. My concern is that my property taxes have gone ridiculously high, and I already have 2 full-time jobs. I own a cleaning business, and I work full-time at the school. A lot of my customers, elderly, single moms that I am friends with, everybody feels at a loss of where we can speak up and how, how we go about it. But it's devastating to try to pay the property taxes, and my house is paid for, and I'm still struggling. I don't know how elderly people on a fixed income handle that. I don't know how mothers with young children trying to raise them and all the school finances that they have to come up with, and now the taxes go up. My taxes in the last 10 years have gone up 97.28%. And I don't know, are we trying to weed out the middle class in Willmar? Because when I work at the school and I have people calling that are interested in coming to Willmar, and we get around and we talk to these people, and it's like, I wouldn't encourage anybody to come to Willmar to pay these taxes. It's ridiculous. And I think that there has to be some kind of limit for 10 years for my taxes to go up that much. How am I going to sell my little, my house is nothing fancy by any means. I don't live in a very well-to-do neighborhood. I live in a very nice neighborhood. But to sell my house, they're going to look at those taxes and go, are you kidding? Because when I was looking in 2013, that's what I looked at, was the property taxes. Made a big decision of where I went. And this is not going well. This is not bringing people to Willmar. It's making people look at getting out of Willmar. So that's all I need to say. I know taxes are a touchy subject anyway, but I'm just, that's what I wanted you to hear. Thank you.
Right. Next is Bob Enos. Bob, you have 3 minutes to give your name and address, and your time starts now.
My time doesn't start when I start talking, huh? Recently, you've been shown a map depicting about 800 municipal broadband schemes across the United States, the premise being that broadband is alive, kicking, and growing in America. Filtering for those whose business models resemble the Willmar scheme, open access citywide for populations between 15 and 50,000, that leaves 3 operations in a country of 19,000 communities. Chelan County, Washington, Ashland, Oregon, and a Utah consortium of 7 locales. What the three projects additionally had in common, they aren't covering operating costs. Their debt service required additional bonding over longer terms. Only one has been paid off, and it took 30 years to do it. Not one has completed total coverage of the communities, and 50 to 65% of the total subscribers in those communities don't even use the municipal programs. I got this information through publicly available data from conversations with a former city councilman who was in the thick of it, and from a local newspaper reporter out west who has covered these developments on the ground for 6 years. Now let's talk about the Charter Communications, whose recent proposal didn't get so much as a second glance here. Charter is the largest cable operator in America. Last year, they posted $55 billion in sales. The owner of the railroad that goes through our town, Warren Buffett's owned Berkshire Hathaway, owns a $220 million stake in Charter. Charter doesn't do citywide fiber broadband in the city for one reason. It's not profitable. That the city council thinks it has a magic wand that Charter doesn't have, or that those other three municipal projects don't have, that's not just delusional, that's arrogant. The facts and the figures are clearly stacked against this project. The public is left with three questions. Number one, did the city staff fail to do the basic due diligence that I did at home in my spare time? If not, that's pure laziness and incompetence. Number two, did the city staff in fact do its due diligence and then withhold information that didn't support the desired narrative? If that's so, that's fraudulent. Or has the city council been fully aware of the financial damage other cities suffered, the risk of this infrastructure becoming prematurely obsolete in an industry evolving at hyperspeed, and yet chooses to put the taxpayers at risk anyway? And if so, that's immoral. Ladies and gentlemen, you are at a crossroads. Public trust in America's institutions of government are at their lowest point in 60 years. Judging by what we've seen from this scheme so far, no one has to leave Willmar to understand why public trust is shattered.
All right, next is old business, and I'll call again on Finance Director Tom Odens.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. This agenda item relates to the 2026 tax levy and the 2026 budget. The City Council held the Truth in Taxation public hearing on December 1st. Since the preliminary levy, the proposed 2026 tax levy has been reduced by $717,482, and the city's tax rate is proposed to not increase for 2026. The tax levy was tabled at that meeting to allow further discussion and refinement. Following that hearing, the City Council held a work session last Monday evening to further discuss the 2026 budget and tax levy. The consensus from that discussion was to reduce operational spending by $69,000 and to reallocate those funds to the Capital Improvement Fund. So that's a little bit of the history. So now procedurally, there are three actions before you tonight, where there was two on December 1st. The first would be a motion to take from the table the motion and adopt the 2026 tax levy from the December 1st meeting. The second, there already is a motion and a second on the table or on the floor regarding the 26 levy. And then third, the council will consider a resolution to adopt the 2026 budget.
And to take the off the table, there's no discussion.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. Yep, and so staff is available to answer any questions as council considers these actions. And if there are any other further procedural questions, Attorney Scott can maybe assist us if so needed.
I would move to remove the motion from the table.
Second.
A motion and a second, roll call.
Councilmember Gardner.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion passes. Next is the tabled action to adopt a resolution approving the 2026 tax levy in the amount of $12,087,303. It's already been moved and seconded. Discussion? Steve?
I wasn't there last Monday night. I apologize for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was on an airplane that didn't go anywhere. Went for a very short airplane drive and ended up back here in Willmar at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I guess only thing I want to say is I find it very difficult to believe that we couldn't find a nickel. All we did is reallocate. Nowhere in here could we find anything to come back and say, we could probably do without that. Nothing. It's disappointing to me. As I imagine, it's probably disappointing to the taxpayers in here listening. You know, we tabled it, we went and we had a whole work session to see what else we could do, and we came back empty-handed, other than shifting money around. It saddens me. We've heard constituent after constituent come forward and say they can't afford their property taxes. And we went and said, we'll go look at it, and we came back empty-handed. That's not awesome. It doesn't make us look very good. Do we need to approve the budget? Sure we do. We have to have a police force. We have to have a fire department. We have to do things. But the fact that we couldn't come up with anything is terrible. What you're telling us is everything in the budget, we 100% absolutely have to have, can't get rid of anything. Can't reduce a maintenance budget, although at the end of next year, I guarantee you, if somebody comes along and says, I'm gonna move money from maintenance to buy this thing that I thought that I might want right now. Just like we did this year. We reallocate money at the end of the year. That means there's money that can be cut. And we're not doing it. That's it. It's terrible.
Any other discussion? Justin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll echo the feelings of Councilmember Gardner. I'm disappointed that we weren't able to do more at the work session. I also am looking forward to being much more active and involved in making those changes for 2027, but I think it's a little too late. And it's disappointing that we weren't able to achieve more at a work session that I expected. I expected a lot more out of. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Tom?
Yeah, I'll agree with Councilmember Osk and Gardner on this, but I am very impressed, though, that we did come down from where we first were at, down to a flat budget, you know, no increase. I voted no the past two budgets because of the increase. I'm on board with this one at a 0% raise, but next year I think we have to, as a city council and city administration and department heads, we have to look at a 10% minimum to start helping these people out in Willmar. That's where we get our funding from. I have a hard time. I'm working overtime, not because I have to, it's because I'm being forced to, but it's making my payments. But the senior citizens that call me all the time, I don't understand on how they do that. We just had Sherry up here talking about it too. I can't imagine if my only income was Social Security and having to pay at least a quarter of that in property taxes. So I think next year, department heads and administration and the city council, we have a lot of work to do, and I would like to see it down 10% next year.
Anybody else? Roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
And Gardner.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion passes. Next, we need a motion to adopt a resolution approving the 2026 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Here we got a motion and a second. Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Davis,
Aye.
Butterfield,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Osk,
Aye.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Gardner,
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of
Motion
the council.
passes. Donation of fire suppression tool. Frank? Fire Chief? Good evening, Frank.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Before you tonight is a resolution and kind of an introduction, description of some equipment that the Willmar Masons and the Grand Lodge of Minnesota has graciously donated to us and to the Sheriff's Department, but I think we lost her. So, first of all, I'd like to introduce the master of the Willmar Masons, David Fry. He approached us. 2 years ago, I guess. Yeah, he approached us a couple years ago through some miscommunications. We didn't quite get on the same page. This year, approached us again, and it's some equipment that we were excited about in the program. So if you want to come up, David, you want to talk about the program, and then we can show that we got a little video, and then I'll be asking for your approval for a resolution.
Thank you. He's just taken about 3/4 of what I was going to say, so I'm in good shape. And it wasn't anything to do with the fire department's lack of timing or anything like that, but the Masons were not in a position that we could actually go forth with this program. But my name is David Fry. I'm the master of the Sharon Lodge, and we have gone together with the Masons of the Grand Lodge and also the Willmar, or the Minnesota Charities. All three of us are taking and putting money forward to these units. They start at roughly $1,000 apiece. This is a 10-pound grenade that when you pull the safety and pull the ignition, you've got 8 seconds to get rid of this. Rather than talk about it, the video is going to show you what happens with one of these units in an open parking lot, and then what happens with one of these units in a fully engulfed fire. Once those fires reach 1,500 degrees, the entire area erupts. Anything that's combustible immediately ignites. Once that happens, if you throw this into the room, the size of this room here, you'll see in the video, it can knock that fire out in about 30 seconds. And the Willmar Lodge has put together about $2,400 for the 8 units we have out here. And afterwards, we're going to give 3 of these to the Willmar Fire Department for the chief's car, the assistant chief's car, and they have a 4-wheel drive truck. Those can be oftentimes the first units to arrive on a fire. Talked with Sheriff Tolson, and he has, I think, 4 or 5 teams of people with around the area. They're oftentimes the first people there. This is a community outreach project, and once we get this started with this initial donation of 8 units, we're going to be talking to additional people in the community, the businesses and the organizations, asking for their help in helping us come up with $300 to pay for one of these units so that we can equip the rest of the fire department and the rest of the sheriffs and also the Willmar Police. That's our goal. And so once you watch this video, I think it'll speak for itself. I think that's all I would need to say because it's going to do it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
All right, we'll see if I'm smart enough to get the video to come up.
Mechanism, the aerosol is released and expands volumetrically, flooding the space and thus suppressing the flames within seconds. The FST is effective against A-class, B-class, C-class, and K-class fires. First step, you pull the safety pin out. Then you take the activation pin, you pull it up and straight up. Once activated, you throw or place the unit into the fire. Then you walk away and safely monitor from safe distance. Once activated, the FST will flash for 8 seconds. And then through the ports on the side, the aerosol will expand outwards for up to 30 seconds. Electronic ignition happens through a battery, and the units have a shelf life for 15 years and are guaranteed.
Imagine if that unit was sitting in this room. You wouldn't be able to see what you could breathe. These do not remove the oxygen from the air in the room. This is what a boiling and low fire is. You don't have to walk in, you can throw it through a window or door. That little beeping is coming from the unit, so let you know it's about ready. Yeah.
So with that, just a little bit of background. David said each device is $1,000. Retail, that's cheaper than what I found them. Retail, I found them for about $1,300 to $1,400 a piece. So we're excited about getting these. For the fire department, we're putting them in each of our command vehicles, so 3 of us will have them. And the idea is we get there prior to the big red trucks and give us time to throw that into a house to give the people inside time, more survivability time. So we're excited about it. Excited about the partnership with the Masons. So with that, I'll stand for any questions for myself or David.
I don't know how to ask the question, but what really extinguishes the fire? Because you say it doesn't starve it of oxygen.
No, it's a potassium.
Come up to the microphone, David.
My understanding is very simplistic, but there's like a potassium powder in there, and the electronic ignition puts forth a pressurization system, and out of the side of the unit, it takes and blows this powder into the room. So being like a potassium powder, you can breathe it, and it's not gonna hurt you. But the thing of it is, it extinguishes the combustion cycle. So you won't get the flashover, you won't get the continued fire. In some cases, once this goes out, they don't have any need for water. And so if you've got a computer control system, all the servers and everything like that, these things were developed to put out fires in a submarine. You couldn't touch something off that was going to wipe out the people in the submarine. That's how safe these are.
Very interesting. Anybody got questions? Mike or Steve?
Are these a one-time use only, or you
Yes.
fire and forget, or are they rechargeable?
The situation is, it's a one and done. Hopefully, you'll never have to use it, but if you do, it could save lives. And the process that we have, there's a form in here. Each of these units is registered with the Minnesota Masons. Once you touch this off, you get in touch with the Masons, they will give you another one. So that's part of the program, and that's how we want to make sure that they're available. This case is, there's 7 more of them out there, 3 for the fire department and 5 for the sheriff's department. You put them in the trunk and forget them. And hopefully when you do use it, you let us know and we make arrangements to give you another one.
Thank you.
Vicky.
I just have a comment. I want to say that is a really neat device, and I'm grateful that you're donating them, and thank you very much.
Well, we're not actually donating them. We do have to pay for them. And so that's where we are, with $2,400, we bought the first 8. And now what we want to do is, I want to meet with the community, the various people that have businesses, the various people that have organizations that are willing to get together as a club and say, hey, we'll buy one. You know, our club will donate the $300. That's where we're going with this project. And then we'll do the legwork. The information from the manufacturer, there's a website in here they can go to, and you've got training videos and everything else. But it doesn't matter whether you've ever seen one or not. In a few minutes, you can watch that and you can deploy it.
Anything else? Steve's thinking, well, we'll get rid of some fire trucks and just have these.
It's
I don't think so.
Don't be
Remember,
thinking that way.
this is just gonna help you get through the door the first time.
That's right.
After that, and if you don't get this, you know, in time and it's gone past the room that you're in, I think about 5,000 square feet this will protect. And when you consider that the average fire extinguisher will protect about what's on this desk, you know, this thing will do a lot more.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
To the lodge. And we are greatly impressed with your assistance and the unit itself.
Well, we wanted to do this pre-COVID. And when COVID came, it pretty much shut the lodge down. And so we're just now coming back to the point where we're able to do this as a community project. And so we want to catch up for lost time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for helping put it
You're welcome.
together.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got anything else, Frank? Otherwise, I'm going to ask
just-
for the motion.
Just asking for the motion for the resolution to accept the donation.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to accept the donation from the Willmar Sharon Lodge number 104 to the fire department of 3 fire suppression tool units with a retail value of $4,000.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Butterfield,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
Osk,
Aye.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Gardner,
Aye.
Fagerly,
Aye.
and Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Our motion passes.
I think David has one more thing. One more.
There is a slight change, Tom. There's 8 units. We're giving 5 to the sheriff's department and then 3 to the fire department. So that's the $2,400 for all 8 units.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Next is approve the hiring of Shane Stefanik as City of Willmar Public Works Director. Leslie?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Following a comprehensive recruitment and interview process, I'm bringing forward the interview committee's recommendation to appoint Shane Stefanik as Public Works Director. Mr. Stefanik brings more than 10 years of progressive experience in public works, utilities, and municipal operations. He has served in supervisory and management roles with responsibility for capital improvement projects, regulatory compliance, staff leadership, and operation of complex infrastructure systems. His background includes serving as a wastewater treatment supervisor for the city of Gillette, Wyoming, where he managed license operators, ensured EPA and state compliance, and delivered capital projects up to $1 million, as well as leading large-scale facilities and maintenance operations. Mr. Stefanik holds a Executive Master of Business Administration and a Bachelor of Science Business Administration from the University of Wyoming and maintains multiple professional licenses in the wastewater treatment and collection systems. He is known for his collaborative leadership style, strong operational expertise, and strategic approach to public service. He was identified as the recommended candidate following interviews conducted by the initial committee consisting of Councilmember Scholdes, myself, City Operations Director Box, and Planning Director Christopher Corbett. Through a second round of interview panel, including Superintendent Kyle Reduns and Superintendent Jason Lindahl, and Parks and Recreation Director Rob Baumgart. Based on his qualifications, leadership, and alignment with the city's operational needs, an interview committee and second round panel unanimously recommended Sean Stefanik as appointment as Willmar's next Public Works Director. I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions or motion? Move to approve the hiring of Shane Stefanik as our Public Works Director.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Scholdes.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Gilbertson. Gardner.
Aye.
Baggerly. Davis.
Aye.
And Butterfield.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
That motion passes. Next is a resolution adopting the 2026 fee schedule. I call on Operations Director Kyle Box.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight before you is the resolution to adopt the fee schedule for 2026. This has been reviewed and updated by city staff. And in your packet is a red line and clean version of the document. A few changes that are being recommended for updates for 2026. Starting on the second page of the red line document, there was a THC license that the city collected the last couple of 2 years at $2,000 per license. That has now gone down to $125. That is the maximum that we are allowed to now collect in state statute. Moving on to administrative fees. These are for nuisance abatements, snow and ice removal, grass mowing, removal of trees. These are just the administrative costs that go with it. Really, John, is just to cover the increased cost of mailing and staff time that goes into that, going from $75 to $85. Ultimately, we try to include every fee that the city would charge out is included in the fee schedule from every department. A couple of new ones that were added were T-hangers at the airport. Now, we do have contracts and leases for our rentable T-hangers at the airport, but we wanted to ensure that they were included in the fee schedule, so those are new additions, as well as new additions for the outdoor covered ice rink at the Civic Center would be new for this fee schedule as well. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, I will stop there for any questions, but we are recommending approval for the 2026 fee schedule.
Any questions? Vicki?
I'm just wondering, because the DOAC costs us a lot of money to run, I'm wondering if we should raise the fees for that. Also, the pool rental, how long of a period is that $100 for?
Mike asked Director Baumgarten to help with that question.
Good evening, Mayor and the councils. We did raise the pool fees up from last year from $3 to $4. We talked about that at the Park and Rec Board meeting, and the pool rental is for 2 hours.
It's for 2, okay. Yeah. I'm just noticing that like the Four Seasons shelter, all of the shelters cost based on the day. But I think typically people are there for 2 or 3 hours and they're paying, you know, at least $130. I just wonder if we could raise that rate.
What, the pool rate?
Yeah,
or-
the pool rental, to kind of match the shelters.
It's totally up to you. We discussed all this at the Park and Rec Board meeting, but you guys are the policymakers. If you want to raise it, we can surely raise it as well.
Anybody else? Steve?
Glad that Councilman Member Davis, and I was at that meeting, I probably should have asked this question then. Do we know what it costs hourly just to provide lifeguards for the pool?
It's a range because if we had to have 12 lifeguards on duty. And
12.
Yes, to suit everything from the pool, the kiddie pool, to the diving well, to the channels, to the plunge. So it takes 12, ranging from anything from $15, $17 an hour up to $21 an hour, so.
So would it stand to reason then, if somebody is going to reserve the pool for their own private party, that they should at least cover the labor costs?
They do, yes.
Of the pool?
Yes.
So they pay for the pool and the?
And the lifeguards.
Okay.
Yep. And some, there's gonna be times where some people will just want the kiddie pool, so they get charged for just the kiddie pool access, knowing that they cannot get into the diving well or the plunge slide areas.
So that's two separate, they have to pay the lifeguard fee and the pool rental?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Leslie, did you want to say something?
That's what I was gonna point out, that on your fee schedule here, it does say $100 plus labor.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call.
Councilmember Ost. Well, I don't have a motion yet.
Yeah,
We don't have a motion.
I don't have a motion.
I'll move the motion.
Second. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Ost.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Fagerly.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
And Schultes.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
Motion carries. While you're there, for information only, Kyle,
Yeah.
Willmar Connect.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wanted to take an opportunity, Mayor, members of the council, to provide you with an update on Willmar Connect. And on October 20th of this year, the city council had authorized staff to release bids for the Phase 1 of Willmar Connect. On December 2nd of this year, we did receive bids for the project. However, we'll just jump right into it. So we did receive bids for Phase 1 construction on Willmar Connect. A total of 10 bids were received, ranging from $7.3 million to $17.6 million. The apparent low bidder was received by 5 Star Energy Services from Waukesha, Wisconsin, in the amount of $7.3 million, $7,333,005. During the review, the apparent low bidder requested to withdraw their submitted bid because not all line items were accounted for within their initial submission. This withdrawal prompted staff to begin working on the next, with the next lowest bid received, with NC3 out of Clearbrook, Minnesota. This amount was for $7,627,499.63. This bid still remains within the estimated project cost provided to the City Council on October 20th at approximately $7.8 million, as well as there is an updated engineer's estimate at the bid opening was just over $8 million, but still under the dollar amount that was provided at the October 20th council meeting. So due to the timing of the first bid withdrawal and the work required to meet and discuss with the new apparent low bidder, staff are not prepared to recommend a bid award at this time and expect to take that action at a later date as early as January 5th, 2026. Within the bid document, City Council does have 90 days from bid opening, December 2nd, to award or reject bids. So on your screen here, you can see the 10 bids that were received with the highlighted NC3 contractor out of Clearbrook, Minnesota, and their bid amounts. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I did want to take an opportunity to provide you with just a project update as well, and provide you with some program finances, just conversations that we've been having with our bond counsel, municipal advisor, progress that we're making on our ISP master agreements, as well as just wanted to update the council and look for some guidance on some outside program interests that we've had the last probably within the last 4 weeks. So as of this evening, December 15th, there's 984 total orders within the program. This was up from, I believe, 567 when it was presented to council in October of this year. Out of those 984, 940 are within city limits. So we do recognize that we are collecting 46 of those orders outside of city limits, and there is no current plans to expand beyond city limits at that time. So really, that 940 is where we're going to be breaking our phase numbers down. Within phase 1, 368 have signed up. Phase 2 is the same, 368, with a phase 3 coming up at 185 users. Again, this action that we're working towards, this construction, is for phase 1 only, but we are collecting information for all 3 phases across the program. Next, I'd like to go into a little bit of program financials to give the council a very clear picture on where the project is at. So to date, we're expecting to spend, pre-construction costs, we're estimating will come in right under $1,250,000. To date, we're at $1,170,000. And so as we continue to wrap things up, if council is to award a bid, we do expect to spend additional dollars before that bonding period begins, before the construction. The phase 1 construction bid is included in there at $7.6 million. As well as the Network Operations Center, which is right now estimated to be between $200,000 and $300,000. When we look at the anticipated network revenues, these would be per user per month. Working with the ISPs, when we adopt these or establish these master services agreements, anywhere between 55% and 60%. So the city would be collecting anywhere from $40.20 to $43.86 is what we're anticipating at this time. Now, we have to be mindful when we move that number around, there is a set dollar amount, or really a dollar amount, that the provider is going to want to capture to make sure that they're being profitable and can cover their costs on their side. But understanding that the city needs to be able to bring in dollars to offset the best it can for the network and its operational costs and its debt service payments. Now, when we look at phase 1 standalone by itself, the project does fall short. So when we look at phase 1, again, just by itself, we're looking at anywhere between just over $1 million and $2.1 million before the city would be cash flow positive, anywhere from 9 to 13 years. Again, this is phase 1 all by itself. Our peak risk year would be in 2029 if a project was approved. That would be when the debt obligation payments, the principal payments on the bond would come into effect. And it would peak anywhere from, our estimate is from 2 to 2.4% for property taxes. So just to put that in comparison, on an annual property tax bill, at a $200,000 house is roughly $48.46, a $300,000 house, $76, a $400,000 house, $106, so on from there. Now, we do have, when we turn on phase 2 and updating with, now we've got phase 1 construction numbers in being able to estimate our take rates based off the information that we have now, as well as projecting out of the future as conservatively as we feel is possible. This picture changes dramatically in a good way. So it opens up the opportunities to connect with a lot more users, a lot more subscribers, and there's equal interest in phase 2 as it stands right now with the pre-order signups. So we do anticipate if the council does consider moving this project forward and awarding bids, it would be very advantageous or highly recommended that phase 2 is also being considered for approval as well in the near future, just because we do not want to anticipate or see a long return on investment or impact to the tax rolls any longer than we would need to. So again, this snapshot on your screen is a phase 1 project only. The Community Investment Fund on the bottom of your screen is something that we've lightly touched on over the last couple of months, last several weeks. Right now, there's estimated $5 million in the Community Investment Fund that is not allocated for any specific projects at this time. Now, the other half, there's about $10 to $11 million sitting in that fund right now. About 50% of that is restricted or allocated for principal or bond payments that the city currently has. So an option that the council could consider is if the project goes forward, if revenues fall short, instead of property taxes being the backfall or the backstop for this project, the council could look at using community investment fund dollars to fill that gap or fill that void as it would be needed. This is where staff would really like to have this continued discussion with council if there's any favor or any support to continue to look at that again. If it's a approved project, knowing what we know now, these numbers will continue to be refined. But this is with the data that we have at this time. And we do see an opportunity to make up the balance that we would have with existing dollars that the city has already without impacting the tax roll. Lastly, I wanted to make the council aware of two different interested parties within our project. We have been approached by two different entities offering or suggesting two completely different models from what they're proposing. The first was a partnership model. This would be an opportunity for the city to engage with another entity or a partner to expand, open up the opportunity for outside investment, future growth, expanded growth, and project reach. This organization is very interested in the Willmar market and highly supports municipal ownership. We haven't received any formal reports from any of these companies or any of these organizations, so I do want to continue to have those conversations with both of them before they're publicly named, and just confirm their sincere interest other than just a quick a one-time meeting and phone calls. But these are offers that have been extended or conversations that we have had. The second is from a private organization. This firm had reached out a couple of weeks ago. This would be a private firm that is interested in building Willmar or portions of Willmar with fiber symmetrical speeds, a very similar, not open access, but a direct fiber to the home or direct fiber project in Willmar. They're heavily interested in the Willmar market as well. And at this time would, again, you would need to have continued conversation, but had stated they would require no investment from the city. However, that could be dependent on the scope of work. If not, all areas of the town are being connected. For example, maybe this organization might not be interested in developing the industrial park, but the city really would like to see that happen. I think there would just be continuing conversation that we would need to have if the city council wanted to seriously consider that opportunity as well. So I don't have an action item for you, Council, Mayor, tonight. I just want to provide you with this update. I'll stand for any questions, but we would anticipate staff will continue to work on this over the next few weeks and provide an update to you with a potential action item at your first meeting in January.
Any questions for Kyle? Justin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kyle, you certainly heard the comments during open forum from Mr. Enos. Surprised that him and his group left before this came up. How would you respond to some of the comments and concerns that he voiced?
With all due respect, I appreciate the opinions and the point of view that any member of the community would have on the project. That's why we're at this public forum or public setting to have these conversations. Staff can provide you, the council, with the information that you feel you would best need to make these decisions on moving forward and setting policy decisions for the city. Staff have been, I feel, and I can absolutely take the criticism if I need to, but I feel we've we've done our due diligence. We have been very conservative in all of our project funding. We've tried to keep this as tight as we can without having to slow the project down too much where we lose interest. You know, there's a lot of data out there on successful and failed projects. I can probably go back and count every single meeting I started with over the last couple of years that's saying we're never gonna have zero risk with this project. No matter what happens, if no one signs up for this project and the city approves this project, the city of Willmar is responsible for making those debt payments. We will be on, there's no if and or but about it, and that is the risk that the council will need to consider. It's been our approach to provide you with the answers that we feel best sits with this specific project. We've gone out, we've done the community surveys, we've looked at other examples for unsuccessful networks. We've looked at other networks that have failed or have come up short. I wouldn't even call it a failure, but have come up short and are making those debt obligation payments. But the one thing that never left was the fiber. The fiber didn't leave. And so that value in that utility is still available for those residents. So at its core, I still believe that this is a policy decision that the council will needs to make, whether they have an interest in owning a utility, municipal fiber, having control of really what that future looks like at a municipal level, or is there interest in another partnership model or to work with a private firm or to abandon this altogether. But no, I will say that staff, I do feel that we've done our due diligence. We have not ignored any project failures. We've tried to learn from them the best we can. And at the end of the day, we're working to make sure you have, like I had mentioned, we're working to make sure the council has the information it needs to make that final decision. So I hope that answers some of that question.
Are you or our friends from hometown, I see in the back too, are either of you aware of these specific communities that he's speaking about in Oregon, Washington, Utah?
I am not, but I wrote them down and we'll be researching them. I don't know if, Kyle, if you were familiar with any of those organizations?
No, not those specific ones, but
okay.
There's a common theme in ones that have succeeded and failed, and we've reviewed that over and over, but we'll definitely take a look at the ones that were specifically asked about as well.
Wonderful, thank you. And then my last question is, with how vital Phase 2 is to the success of Phase 1, is there a value in considering building both at the same time? Does that exceed our capacity? Is that something we could do?
It's absolutely something we could do. It would take more time and more dollars to make that happen. So right to date, we have spent our engineering dollars and our network architecture dollars have been for Phase 1 only. It would take, Kyle and I just had this conversation earlier today on what this estimated timeline would look like, and it would take several months. But we think we could do it faster. We had learned a lot and had worked with our partnership with Bolton and Mink and Hometown Fiber to align and streamline the best we can. We think Phase 2 and Phase 3 will go much quicker, but likely not achievable, and I don't want to speak for Kyle, but likely not achievable for Phase 1 and Phase 2 to be done with the spring construction cycle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other, Tom?
Either first. I'll take it. Thank you. You mentioned you've used a conservative approach for this, the analysis and so forth. Now that we've received these bids back, what was your initial dollar amount for Phase 1 and where has it come in? Have you been pleased or disappointed with where that's come in? I know that I was disappointed to see the first one fall off, but where has that come in from your figures of being conservative, as you said?
Yeah, we were right around that 7.8 million. So it is coming in a little lower than what we had estimated. I'm pleased with the bids. We had an opportunity to meet with the contractor this morning via Teams and just introduce ourselves, and we're going through that vetting process with Hometown and with Bolton and Mink. are very capable. They're doing projects in other larger municipalities in the state and as well as in North Dakota. They seem very capable of the work, so I have no concerns with that.
And I know in a lot of projects, we typically have contingencies. Is there a certain dollar amount for contingency in this?
I believe it's a 10% contingency.
And that's built into the 7.6. Okay, thank you.
Kyle, on that, $7.6 million, I just kind of Googled what the interest payment would be at 4.5%. Divided that by the $40 for our fee. I'm coming up, just with the principal and interest, would be about 968 customers to sign up for this, so to keep it off the tax rolls. Does that sound about correct?
Yeah, so with principal and interest, we're anticipating at a 4% interest rate, which is maybe just a titch high, but pretty on par. It's about $620,000 a year that the city would be paying in debt obligation payments. And let me get my right numbers here. I would say Councilmember Butterfield, that number might be closer to about 1,100.
And then we would still have to add in the hometown fiber fees onto that.
All of that would be included.
So 1,100 would be a
Yep,
break-even point where we would.
Around approximately. Yeah, so there's a lot of variables with that too. I mean, this is just our best guess until we lock in contracts, until all of that is finalized. I mean, we are giving you ranges here on the screen, what we think it's gonna come in at. But yeah, that's fair between, I would say,
This
about
way,
1,100.
I think the citizens will kind of know exactly, where we should be at to move this forward. About 1,100 people just for phase one.
Yes.
Just off property taxes, we've heard enough about property taxes going up. And if we get to 1,100, I would be voting yes. If we're under it, I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Steve? Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Kyle, you said that there's, including that 7.6, there is a 10% contingency in there? Or is there a 10% contingency on top of that 7.6?
Sorry, Councilmember, I'm trying to just verify that for you. That would likely be on top of the bid amount, but I don't know if Kyle, if you know that, that's on top of the bid amount. So another 700 and,
Which puts us theoretically over budget then, right? Unless you had 10% figured outside of the 8.
that was already factored into the pro forma.
Plus 10%?
Yeah.
Okay, my next question, I have 3 questions then. So my second question is there any reason to believe that this bid is the second place bid is gonna get thrown out like the first place bid did?
At this time, no. We don't believe that. We haven't finished our vetting yet, but at this time, we've met with the contractor. They've provided all the documentation. We'll continue to go through line by line, but have no reason at this time that we would not be recommending them.
Okay, and then my final question is your line on anticipated network revenues, 55 to 60%, $40.20 to $43.86 seems to imply that the average customer needs to have an internet bill of $73 in the $73 range.
That's correct.
Where are people signing up at, and is it in that $73 average range?
So, thank you for the question, Councilmember. So the way the pro forma is built is on an average monthly buy. So it anticipates all of the packages that are available and divides them out or shares them out amongst the anticipated packages and who will be signing up for those packages. So this includes all the way from your $50 plan to maybe a few $100 plan at a commercial or industrial level. So that's how we get to this average buy of $73.
That's how we got to that.
Yeah.
But you know who's signing up for what right now, right?
Some,
Are they all 50s? Are they all 150s? Kind
Yep.
of get where I'm going there. I get what we figured.
Yep.
What's reality telling us?
I honestly don't have that breakdown, so out of the number I gave you earlier, we can figure this out as close as we can. Out of the 940 pre-signups, 322 have not committed to a provider or a package at this time. So we would not be able to give we could take the information that we have with the the providers that have signed up or the subscribers that have signed up, but there are still 322 individuals or potential signups that have not chosen a package or provider. So again, this number is just using the average buy that we have factored into the pro forma.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else? All right. This was for information only.
This was for information only, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you,
Thank you,
council.
Kyle. All right, next is Glacial Lakes Curling Club terminate build-to-suit lease. Call on Recreation Director Rob Baumgartner.
Mayor, Mayor of the Council, tonight I'm seeking a motion to approve terminating the build-to-suit lease agreement with the Glacial Ridge Curling Club. This original agreement was for us to build the curling center at the Civic Center location. Now with the curling club being in their new facility, we met with the group, and it's in our best interest. Both groups believe it's their best interest to terminate this lease agreement. And when it comes down to it, if it's 5 years, 6 years, or whatever, a new agreement would be put into place if we go down that path. So just seeking the motion to terminate the agreement with the Glacial Ridge Curling Club.
So moved.
Second.
You got a motion and a second to approve the termination. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Gilbertson.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Davis. Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
And Osk.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
The motion carries. Thanks, Rob. Next is in regards to sale of low-potency hemp. Call on City Clerk Verne Larson.
So expanding on what Director Box talked about with the change in the fee schedule for low-potency hemp edible retail registrations, our role as city staff and as a city of Willmar has changed from a licensing agent to a registration only. So their licensing now comes from the state of Minnesota. And the new law states that they must first get their license from the state, which many current providers are in the process of doing, and then reach out to the cities or municipalities for registration only. So our fees went from the $2,000 to $125 based on statute. But currently, I have 3 retail operators that have received their state licensing and are asking for registration approval from the city so that they can continue their, which is now considered low-potency hemp edible retail stores. And that is the D&D Smoke Shop, Super Value doing business as Cub Foods, and Super Value doing business as Cub Foods Liquors. So I'm looking for a motion to approve those registrations. And I do anticipate more registrations to come in as we get more applicants.
Move to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
And we got a second. Discussion. Justin.
Just a quick question as those, I think this is appropriate as things have been changed. My suggestion, and I'm just wondering if there'd be consensus from colleagues here, is that in the future, this could move to a consent agenda item. Take their silence as
Do
agreement.
you think it's similar to how we?
I think it's exactly similar to how we do a lot of those other, yeah, go ahead.
We probably would have had it as consent agenda if you would have known that the license had,
Correct. No, and that's why I'm grateful that it's not tonight, but I'm saying in the future it would.
yes, it certainly will be.
Thank you.
We got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Gardner.
Aye.
Baggerly.
Aye.
Davis. Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
And Gilbertson.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
The motion carries. Next, Sunday liquor license renewals for 2026. City Clerk Bernie Larson again.
Annually, we send out applications to those license holders that have Sunday liquor licensing, and renewals are due at the end of this year. Those that have applied are the American Legion Post 167, Applebee's, the Eagle Lake Golf Club, Finstead's Post 1639, Foxhole Brew House, Green Mill of Willmar, Grizzly's Grill and Saloon, Intuition Brewing, Jimmy P's, Ruff's Wings and Sports Bar, Spurs Grill and Bar, and the Willmar Fraternity Order of the Eagles. I'm looking for approval on those licenses.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Fagerly. Davis. Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultz.
Aye.
Osk.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
And Gardner.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 noes.
The motion carries. Next is a proposal to hire consultant Dave Unmacht for a joint session with the Willmar Municipal Utilities. Leslie?
Good evening again, council. This started back in September of 2025 here, where council had directed me to work with General Manager Jaron Smith from the Willmar Utilities to discuss creating the RFP proposals for a joint facilitating work session. So tonight I'm bringing forward a recommendation that is really about relationships, specifically strengthening the working relationship between the City of Willmar and Willmar Municipal Utilities. As you know, the city and WMU share a long history and a responsibility to work closely together in serving our community. Over time, several complex and important topics have emerged, including emergency planning, annexation, Candy-Wide Power cooperative coordination, and the agreements that guide how we work together. This engagement is intended to create space for open conversation, build trust, and ensure we have a strong, respectful partnership moving forward. To support this work, Willmar Municipal General Manager Jaron Smith and I are recommending the hiring of Dave Unmacht to serve as an independent facilitator for a joint engagement process between the City Council and WMU Commission. Mr. Unmacht's role would be to help guide thoughtful, productive conversations, ensure all voices are heard, and help both bodies work through issues in a structured and conservative way. Mr. Unmacht's proposed processes include meetings with the city and WM staff, interviewing council and commission members, reviewing background materials, ultimately facilitating a joint work session between the City Council and WMU Commission. Throughout the process, he will work closely with myself and WM General Manager to make sure the effort is focused, respectful of everyone's time, and aligned with our shared goals. Many of you already be familiar with Mr. Unmacht. He previously served as Executive Director for the League of Minnesota Cities, as well as County Administrator for Scott County, Deputy County Administrator for Dakota County, and City Manager for Prior Lake. He spent his career working with elected officials and staff on governance, communication, and organizational relationships. He is well known for his ability to build trust and navigate complex conversations. The proposed cost is an hourly rate at $190 with a not-to-exceed total amount of $12,500. This includes reimbursable expenses. Time and expenses will be tracked, and I will be consulting with WMU General Manager if we approach that limit. Ultimately, this recommendation is about investing the time and resources needed to strengthen communication, improve understanding, and set a positive foundation for how the City Council and WMU Commission work together in the future. Based on the importance of this effort, the Commissioner's prior approval, and Mr. Unmacht's qualifications, I'm recommending that the City Council authorize me to enter into an agreement with David Unmacht to facilitate this joint engagement process in the amount not to exceed $6,250 for the city. With that, I request a motion to approve and stand for any questions.
Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Discussion. Tom?
I hope the council will support this. I think it's a good step forward between the two organizations, and but at the same time, in the event that it reaches that $6,250 limit, that you bring that forward to the council and not for us to discuss. I don't want to see it go beyond that financial level going forward, unless there's a significant reason for that. So I do appreciate the ceiling on that dollar figure.
The experience that I have with David is he's a stellar individual. Would do a great job. Rick and I were in some retreats that before he was with the League of Minnesota Cities. And he did a good job. So, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Carl?
I'm a little out of the loop, I guess, on, has things deteriorated to the point we need a facilitator between municipal utilities and the city? I guess I don't understand why we need to spend $12,500 on, can't we just sit down and talk? Maybe I'm being overly simplistic, or I guess I don't understand exactly what his point is. What would he do that we can't just do ourselves by sitting down and talking?
Well, he can bring things out that maybe a participant cannot, and make them realize what they're saying. That's been my experience.
I'd say from my experience, or from my point of view, the reason I'll support the motion is I think that there's a lot of really complex things on the table, and bringing someone in with his experience seems remarkably helpful as we try to navigate those conversations with the utilities and the commission. I think it could be really helpful.
Any further discussion? Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the one thing I see is we don't communicate with them. We did when we had committee meetings. They would come 4 times a year to finance, and we'd discuss. The manager would come and their accounting person would come. We always worked together, so where I see it is when we quit having committee meetings and we're going to workshops. So, and Carl, I don't see how spending $12,000 is on it. We just need to communicate with them. So we have a liaison from the council. They're supposed to tell us what's going on. So, and that hasn't been happening for a while.
I feel like we do need the help to get the discussion going, to figure out where each side stands. And then once we get on a good track, then we can stay in touch and keep good conversation.
Tom?
I'll just say the same comment was asked at the Utilities Commission as well. Do we need to hire somebody just to talk as well? And so that they discussed it as well. And I think it's worth asking the question. I think this will set us up on the right foot going forward as well, though. Especially after the work that was done on the site and some major dollars are at stake here. I think it's a good time to involve that that outside person.
And you're feeling the 12.5 could actually save us potentially?
I think it'll lead us.
More than that.
More right decisions, yeah.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Butterfield.
Aye.
Schultes.
Aye.
Ost.
Aye.
Gilbertson.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
And Fagerly.
No,
6 ayes, 1 no.
Motion carries. Any announcements, council, staff? Rick?
I got a call on Friday about our new sewer line from a realtor. They had their line videotaped, and the report was fine, brought it to the city, to Sarah. She saw part of it had cast iron. That's not permissible, I guess. So they got a bid to replace their sewer line. The house is selling in January for $17,000. There's no cracks, there's no leaks, there's no nothing. I haven't heard anything from our administrator.
I did report on that to council through my weekly update. And I spoke to Mr. Lindahl this morning, and they did research that one, the address that you gave me again. And in their letter, they only said that it was just because of cast iron, but it actually does have some failings. It's not leaking, but cast iron is very corrosive in our toxic soils. And so it will, in the near future, start failing. And so my direction to staff was that if it is functioning and working well, then it should not be, we should not be asking our citizens to replace it. We should be telling our citizens what they should be expecting, and that in the near future, that if they are doing any work, that they should consider replacing that line. This particular line has HDPE, which is a plastic form of sewer line. And on one end, it has cast iron in the middle of it. And then on the other end, which is going out to the main, it has PVC, which are both acceptable on each end, but for some reason, they did not replace the middle part of it. And why, we don't know, but it is also, their rust areas are very extensive, and so you can see this in the piping. And so I also instructed staff that they need to be clearer on why they are saying this needs to be replaced. And in that, they need to also show pictures of what the issue is, so that the resident can have a clearer understanding of that. In some regards, they have had, the homeowner is there and they are able to watch what the contractor is videotaping and seeing what the contractor is saying. Now, our contractors also should not be saying that this looks good, because this is up to the wastewater department to review the pipe and make sure that it's to the standards that the wastewater department is looking at. So it's, the contractor should not be giving an opinion also on what they're taping. That doesn't help.
Well, it wasn't their opinion, it was what was written on the report. It said it looks good. What else are you supposed to say? Oh, it doesn't look so good.
I don't recall that, but Sarah reviews those too. And so to make sure that it is, up, yes, it wasn't leaking, but it is also looking close to, like just Jason Lindahl had said, it was like a ball of corrosion occurring. So
So what's gonna happen with this one? Because if supposed to be closing in a week.
They were going to go back to the homeowner and talk to the homeowner. That was this morning.
Well, we're gonna have an issue in town with homes selling, because 90% of the homes have cast iron. So I think you want houses to sell. If not, well, then our property taxes won't be going up, because there won't be any changes in valuation, because there won't be any sales. So
I think there is a medium here, like I had said, that staff will, if it's working, it's fine. But they need to be clear on what the expectations are for the future.
better let the realtors know then. So, thanks.
Any other announcements, or Tom?
Yeah, just a point of information for the folks that I believe the Civic Center, at the Civic Center from 4:30 to 6:30 on Thursday, they'll have some information on 4th Street there. So interested parties, come on, check out. I'll try to make that one and see what Bolton Mink has for us.
Anything else? Otherwise, we're going to go to closed meeting.
Ashburn?
This portion of the regular meeting of the city council will be closed pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13D.05, subdivision 3C. The following real property will be discussed separately in closed session. One parcel of land located under First Street Bridge between Benson Avenue and Highway 12. You get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Ross,
Aye.
Gilbertson,
Aye.
Gardner,
Aye.
Fagerly,
Aye.
Davis, Butterfield,
Aye.
and Schultes.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Motion carries. The city council is now in closed session pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3C. The time is 7:56 PM. In addition to the city council, also present at the closed session